For 5 years, they called you a conspiracy theorist. For 5 years, the legacy media disparaged you as an election denier, insisting there was nothing to see. 2020 was the most pure and pristine election in human history. But today, you have officially been vindicated. The walls are closing in on Fulton County, and this time it's the FBI doing the knocking, and the liberal elites are panicking. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, celebrating yet another glorious day in Trump's golden age that you made possible back in November of 2024. So if you want a front row seat on how you continue to change the world in ways you never even imagined, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. On January 28th, federal agents executed a search warrant on Fulton County's election offices and walked out with approximately 700 boxes of evidence, including physical ballots from the 2020 election, tabulator tapes, electronic ballot images, and voter rolls. Not a subpoena, not a polite request, no. A warrant signed by a federal magistrate judge stating that the materials, quote, constitute evidence of the commission of a criminal offense. Now, of course, this is the same Fulton County that became ground zero for the 2020 election controversy, the same county where surveillance footage showed ballots being scanned after poll watchers were told to leave, the same county where chain of custody questions were raised, audits were resisted, and every attempt to investigate was met with stonewalling and accusations of election denial. But no matter how much they denied any wrongdoing, the evidence kept piling and piling up.
So the second person was supposed to be checking it, right? So 3 times in 3 minutes she called out Biden. The second auditor caught it, and she said, no, this is Trump. Now, that's just while I'm standing there. So does the second checker catch it every time? But this way, in 3 times in 3 minutes, from 2:09 to 2:12, she got 3 wrong.
That's just in the short time that you were
that I was standing there. And does it get corrected every time? Because the next table I went to right after that, the only reason I left that table is because there was one where the first person was reading it off, handing it to her. She's not even looking at it, she's just putting it in.
Putting it in which set?
Whatever one the first person said. So table 17 was the first one where the woman got it wrong 3 times. Table 18 was where the first person would call out Biden or Trump. She'd pass it across the table. The other person did not even look at it, just put it wherever the first person said. That person was supposed to be auditing it, checking the second one. Gotcha. And so here's what happened after that. So I go and report it. They say, oh, we'll talk to the election officials, blah, 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 blah. They tell her, hey, I guess they talked to her. And so I come back by again in a few minutes. She's not doing it after they've talked to her. So I come and stand next to her, and she goes like this. Like being all cutesy about it, being exactly.
Being snarky.
Yeah, so I keep walking, I turn around, I look, and she's looking at me walking away as she's getting handed more ballots. So she's watching me. That's when things start getting real shady, like really like tense and cop.
Well, now it looks as if the FBI is taking this matter very, very seriously. The FBI doesn't send agents in tactical vests and back up lines of trucks and haul out 700 boxes because there's nothing to see. And none other than Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard was on the scene. It's since been confirmed that Tulsi has been personally directed by President Trump to coordinate intelligence related to election security, counterintelligence, and even foreign influence. Now, the search warrant itself tells the story. Federal investigators sought all physical ballots from the November 2020 presidential election, tabulator tapes from every voting machine, and complete voter rolls, absentee, early voting, and in person. The warrant was comprehensive, and it left nothing to chance. Federal agents were authorized to seize every physical ballot from the 2020 general election, absentee, early voting, provisional, in person, emergency, damaged, duplicated, every single one. They took all tabulator tapes from every voting machine in the county, the electronic ballot images generated during the original count and subsequent recounts, and complete voter rolls covering absentee, advance voting, and election day registration. The warrant itself stated that these materials constitute evidence of the commission of a criminal offense. In total, approximately 656 boxes, over 20 pallets of materials, were loaded onto trucks and transported to Virginia, signaling this is no local inquiry, but a full-scale federal seizure with the evidence now in DOJ custody, far beyond the reach of anyone in Fulton County who might want it to disappear. They're obviously doing everything they can to reverse course here to try to bring those ballots back. Ain't happening. It's not happening. And here's where this gets even more interesting. Remember, this is the same jurisdiction where District Attorney Fani Willis launched her years-long crusade against Donald Trump over election interference. The same DA who claimed Trump was the one undermining democracy. Now, her own county's election apparatus is under federal criminal investigation. And the irony is so thick, I mean, you could cut it with the knife. And that's because when Fani Willis said she was investigating 2020, it became increasingly clear, Steve Bannon was just talking about this, that what she was really doing is she was targeting the very people who were exposing the real fraud. So that's how poisoned the system became. That's how weaponized it became over these years, where the deep state, after 4 years of Trump's first term, came back with a vengeance to try to get rid of him. In claiming that they were investigating Trump's attempt to supposedly steal the election in 2020, what they were in point of fact doing, Fani Willis and her ilk, is they were targeting the very people who were brave enough to stand up and expose the fraud. And so this is all coming back and blowing up in this now disgraced Fani Willis's face, and then some. But that is where it just starts. It's turning out Willis is just a pathetic pawn, a useful idiot. We're about to find out how the tentacles behind 2020 look as if they've stretched out all the way to the very top. This is going to absolutely blow you away. But first, time for a little health check-in. What if the speed at which your body heals is not random at all, but controlled by a biological switch most people have never even heard of? Researchers began paying serious attention to this after a breakthrough discovery involving a peptide known as BPC-157. Some scientists now refer to it as a biological engineer because it doesn't just support one repair function, it helps regulate the environment where healing actually happens. And here's why that matters. Your body relies heavily on nitric oxide for circulation, tissue repair, and recovery. But nitric oxide has two very different roles. One pathway, called eNOS, helps relax blood vessels, improve blood flow, and deliver oxygen and nutrients directly to damaged tissue. But another pathway, called iNOS, is triggered during inflammation and can produce excessive levels that contribute to tissue breakdown and slow recovery. Now, what researchers confirmed back in 2014 is what makes BPC-157 so incredibly compelling. It helps activate eNOS while calming iNOS, essentially supporting the healer while quieting the damage. Fix the system, and the symptoms often follow. Now, consider what happens after a demanding workout, right? Or an injury or even surgery. Microscopic tissue damage begins almost immediately, and inflammation and muscle breakdown often peak within 72 hours. This is why recovery matters just as much as the activity itself. This is exactly why Regenerate from the wellness company was developed. Regenerate is the first oral triple peptide recovery drop designed to support full body healing without injections. At the center is BPC-157, known for supporting gut integrity while helping tendons, ligaments, and soft tissue recover faster. Then it's paired with KPV, an anti-inflammatory tripeptide that helps regulate immune balance, and TB500, which supports flexibility, circulation, and cellular repair. It's an absolute powerhouse, all without needles or complicated protocols. If you're ready to recover smarter, go to twc.health/Turley and use code Turley to get $40 off plus free shipping for all U.S. residents. That's twc.health/Turley and use code Turley to get $40 off plus free shipping. Regenerate, backed by science, built for recovery. Click on that link below right now. The fact that Tulsi Gabbard was on the scene in Fulton County is not random. That is not a coincidence. Remember, just months ago, Tulsi declassified intelligence documents that proved what we all knew all along, that the very officials who claimed to be protecting democracy were actually the ones intentionally working to undermine it. Over 100 declassified documents were sent by Tulsi to the Department of Justice for criminal prosecution. Documents that detail what she called a treasonous conspiracy orchestrated at the highest levels of government during the Obama administration. Documents that showed that before the 2016 election, there was actually no evidence of Russian collusion at all with Trump's campaign. In fact, the official assessments from every single intelligence agency, the FBI, CIA, NSA, Homeland Security, every single intelligence agency, concluded that Russia had neither the intent nor the capability to try to hack the United States election. But despite that, then President Obama ordered a coordinated effort to manufacture intelligence, concluding the exact opposite. So we now know on December 19th, 2016, just days after receiving that intelligence report exonerating Russia from election interference, Barack Obama held a meeting in the Situation Room in the White House with his inner circle. So we're talking FBI Director James Comey, Andrew McCabe is the Deputy FBI Director, CIA Director John Brennan, James Clapper, who was then the Director of National Intelligence, John Kerry, the Secretary of State, National Security Advisor Susan Rice. And in that room, they together, along with Obama, made the decision to deliberately and intentionally manufacture fake intelligence that directly contradicted their own experts in a deliberate effort to sabotage the Trump presidency. According to Tulsi, Obama and his minions launched what she calls a years-long coup against Trump's presidency. So what it appears here is that what we're seeing is that the same institutional apparatus that manufactured the Russia hoax to delegitimize Trump's 2016 victory then worked to ensure he could not possibly win 2020. The House Judiciary Committee report alleged that the FBI spent nearly a year pre-bunking the Hunter Biden laptop story with social media companies before the 2020 election, conditioning them to suppress it as Russian disinformation, which of course was blatant election interference that benefited Biden. But what if that interference worked its way all the way down into Fulton County? That is exactly what Tulsi is investigating. Actually, at their most recent cabinet meeting, where she briefed President Trump on 2020 election fraud, she explicitly connected Obama's inner circle with the 2020 election by referencing the burn bags used to cover up the politicization that was led by people like John Brennan and James Clapper, right? So bottom line, the intelligence community that surveilled Trump's campaign in 2016 manufactured a false Russian narrative and spent 4 years trying to remove him from office is the same institutional force that allegedly enabled or covered up fraud in 2020. I gotta say allegedly. And Tulsi Gabbard is now exposing both as part of a single continuous conspiracy against President Trump and the voters who elected him. It's precisely this conspiracy, the real conspiracy, that's unraveling as we speak.